Hey everyone, Michael O'Brien here with some more advice for magicians. Now this week I wanted to talk about something that a lot of people keep asking about, and that is how to put together a strolling routine. Now before I talk about strolling routines, I want to just clear up for anyone who is not sure exactly what strolling magic is. Strolling magic is basically where you walk around and you perform magic for smaller groups of people one at a time, as opposed to, like a formal performance or a stand-up show where you're performing for a large audience all at once. Now, the thing I like about strolling magic is it's a lot more interactive and a lot more intimate because you really get to connect with people more on like a one-on-one basis. Strolling magic is probably the most types of events that I perform, whether it be for working at restaurants or doing cocktail parties, weddings, stuff like that. So I put together 4 things to think about anytime you want to put together a strolling routine. And those 4 things are as follows. Number 1, keep it short and to the point. Now, especially for like restaurant work, or if you're, working in a room that has a lot of people in it and, you're only there for an hour or two, you really want to make sure that you manage your time wisely. You don't want to be telling long stories or, performing like 7-8 minute long tricks. You really want to kind of condense everything down, keep it short, keep it sweet, and keep it to the point. Try to perform tricks that don't require a whole backstory or a lot of information to be, laid out for the audience. Try to do things that are a lot more visual and, like I said, short to the point. Like sponge balls, for example. They're very visual, they're very short to the point. There's not really a whole lot of a backstory that you have to give when you're performing this type of magic. And like I said, the reason for that is because if you're there for a couple hours, the client's going to expect that you're going to at least talk to everyone that's at the event one time. So if you perform for like a group of 5 and you do a 15-minute show and, you're there for 2 hours, you're only going to be able to perform for like 50 people out of the 100 people that are there. So it's really important that you keep it short and to the point, know how to manage your time. Second, you want to perform magic that is very visual and easy to be seen, that doesn't require the audience to necessarily have to hear what you have to say. And the reason that I say this is because, especially in restaurant work, it's sometimes going to be very difficult for your audience to actually hear what you're saying. And this goes for both restaurant magic and sometimes at strolling events as well, where maybe there's a DJ there, or, there's a lot going on, or it's outside and it's very noisy. You want to be able to perform magic that the audience will be able to follow along and not necessarily be able to hear every single word that you have to say. So again, going kind of with point number 1, you want to keep it short, to the point, and keep it highly visual. Now, I always mention sponge balls as the example, but honestly, I think sponge balls is the best example for this. Like I said, you don't need a backstory for sponge balls. You don't need to tell this long, detailed thing. And sponge balls are very visual and interactive. So it's really easy for the audience to follow along with what's going on. So, like I said, keep it short to the point and keep it visual so that you can see everything that you're doing without necessarily having to hear every single word that you're saying. Next, it is perform magic that does not require a tabletop or a surface to work on. Now, this one is extremely important. Even if you're working in a restaurant, you want to assume that you will not be performing on the tabletop. And the reason for this is simple. It's because the audience is not necessarily going to be able to see what you're doing. And on top of that, there's usually a lot of clutter, like plates and dishes and silverware and drinks and stuff like that. So it is okay to set props down on the table if you need to. Like, for example, if you open a pack of cards and you need to set the box somewhere. I personally just put the box away in my pocket. But if you need to set the box somewhere, it's okay to set it on the table. But I would avoid doing things that you actually perform on the table, like a gambling demonstration that requires you to do tabletop shuffles, or like a coin matrix or anything like that. Just avoid performing on the table. And like I said, especially with strolling routines, oftentimes there will be no table around. So if your routine does require you to set something down, like to set a card down or something, try to see if you could figure out how to do it in a spectator's hand, or maybe place the card into your pocket or something like that. But just make sure that when you're putting the routine together, that your effect does not require you to use a tabletop or surface. Last but not least, this kind of ties into the first point: perform magic that is instantly or very easily reset. Now, what do I mean by this? Basically, when you're going from group to group, when you're finished performing for that group, you shouldn't have to go hide in a corner and reset all of your magic tricks. All it's going to do is waste your time. Now, like I said at the beginning, when you're trying to, hit every single group that's at the event, the last thing you want to do is do a 5 to 7 minute performance and then have to go hide in the corner for 2 minutes to go reset all your gimmicks and switch your pockets around and stack your deck again, or whatever it is that you need to do, because it's going to waste some time. So try to find magic that are, instantly reset after you're done performing them, meaning once it's done being performed, you don't have to go back and fiddle with it or reset it. Or if you do, at the very least, keep it minimal. If you're doing like a 4-ace production and you need to put the 4 aces back on the top of the deck, that's minimal reset that only takes like a quick 2 to 3 seconds to do. That's totally fine. But try to cut out any kind of reset that requires, minutes of your time to reset gimmicks or anything like that. So just to recap on everything, we have keep it short and to the point, make sure that it's highly visual, make sure it does not require a tabletop or surface, and lastly, make sure that you do not need to reset anything. And if you do, make sure that the reset is minimal. Well, everyone, that is my advice segment for this week. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos just like it, I have a ton of advice for magicians videos already on this channel. And I also have a lot more planned to come out very soon. So if you want to stay up to date, I suggest you go ahead and subscribe to this channel. And go ahead and let your friends know. If you know anyone that you think can benefit from this kind of advice, anyone that's trying to become a better magician or trying to get out there and work as a magician professionally, this is the channel for them. So go ahead and let them know. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching this video. If you have any questions for me, go ahead and leave a comment below. I will be sure to answer them right away. And until next time, I'll see you next week with more advice for magicians. Take care, everyone.